In a world of diverse beliefs, different religions, and a myriad of spiritual practices, is it possible that there's a single universal truth underlying them all? Despite the differences in religious doctrines, rituals, cultures, all spiritual traditions are believed to share a core truth in the perennial philosophy, and this truth transcends time, culture, and religious boundaries. The primordial tradition, this ancient wisdom, predates all religion and their systems and serves as the foundation for them. Imagine it as a source of spiritual insight, a wellspring of knowledge that ancient civilizations like those in Sumer, Egypt, and India tapped into, and of course many more. This wisdom, passed down through initiations, esoteric teachings, and mystery schools, it is believed to be the seed from which all the world's major religions grew into. Now, if you are completely new to traditional perennialism, or at least perennialism, I really recommend you to watch the earlier lecture I had posted on this channel, which is Introduction to Traditional Perennialism. I do give a little bit of a background into what it is, as well as a few mentions of what the primordial tradition is, whereas this lecture goes a bit more deeper into the primordial traditions and where its potential origins may have been conceptualized as. Starting with Sumer, often referred to as the cradle of civilization, we see one of the earliest expressions of the sacred knowledge. The Sumerians, who lived in Mesopotamia around 4000 BCE, are credited with developing one of the first written scripts, cuneiform. Their religious and cosmological beliefs, encoded in texts like the Enuma Elish, reflect really deep spiritual insights. In the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth, the ordering of chaos into cosmos illustrates the primordial process of creation, a recurring theme in many spiritual traditions. And this cosmic struggle between order and chaos represents more than just mythology. It reflects the Sumerians' understanding of the universe's inherent duality, a theme found in the primordial tradition. And many scholars, including Samuel Noah Kramer, believe that such myths encode timeless truths about the nature of the universe and our place within it. And for anyone that might make a direct reference with the notion of order and chaos, it's also found in the yin-yang symbol with ancient Chinese philosophy, Taoism. And that is a little connection that the perennial philosophy kind of brings in together along with other spiritual traditions. In ancient Egypt, we encounter another valuable expression of perennial wisdom. The ancient Egyptians believed in Ma'at, the principle of cosmic order, balance, and truth. Ma'at was more than just a goddess. She, or it, represented the underlying law of the universe. The Egyptians believed that everything from the movement of the stars to the morality of human beings had to align with Ma'at for the world to function harmoniously. The ancient Egyptian pyramid texts, dating back to around 2400 BCE, are some of the earliest sacred writings known to humanity. These texts were inscribed inside the tombs of pharaohs and contained spells to guide the deceased through the afterlife. The emphasis on harmony, balance, and the afterlife, especially in Egyptian religion, suggests that they were tapping into similar ancient truths as other traditions. The idea of an eternal, cyclical order of life and death, deeply connected to cosmic principles. Scholar R.T. Rundle Clark, in Myth and Symbol in Ancient Egypt, writes extensively about how the Egyptian religious worldview was an expression of a primordial eternal truth about the universe's structure and humanity's role within it. In ancient India, the Vedic tradition offers another glimpse of the primordial tradition. The Vedas, written in around 1500 BCE, are some of the oldest sacred texts in human history as well. And these hymns, chants, and rituals capture not only religious practices, but also deep philosophical insights that one could implement into their lives. The Rig Veda, the oldest of the 4 Vedas, speaks of the creation of the universe as emerging from an eternal, unmanifest source, and it is often called the Brahman, which I have mentioned in a few videos. This idea of a universal consciousness or source from which all creation arises is central to the primordial tradition. Moreover, the Upanishads, the later texts that emerged from the Vedic tradition, delve even deeper into the nature of this eternal wisdom. They focus on the idea that Atman, the individual soul, is one with Brahman, the universal soul, a principle that represents the core belief of perennial philosophy, that all spiritual paths lead back to the same ultimate truth. The Indian tradition preserves this primordial wisdom through practices like meditation, mantra chanting, and yogic disciplines, which aim to connect individuals to that cosmic source. Scholar, and I'll probably most likely pronounce this name wrong, Mircea Eliade, in his work, The Sacred and the Profane, highlights the Vedic tradition's connection to primordial concepts of creation and the cyclical nature of time and existence, linking it directly to the perennial themes found in other spiritual traditions. And I will note, I will put a name of the scholars and their books in the description for references for anyone that would like to learn further. And they are included in my reading list, which hopefully I will be able to deliver book reviews from. Last but not least, and it was mentioned a little bit before, in ancient China, the spiritual wisdom of Taoism also reflects the essence of the primordial tradition. The central concept of Tao, often translated as the way, represents this underlying principle of the universe, the source and path that governs all of existence. Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, if I've pronounced that correctly, written around the 6th century BCE, expresses the idea that all of creation emerges from the Tao and eventually returns to it, which I'd like to note in Islam as well. It is believed that everything comes from Allah, the God of all, the One, and everything eventually returns to Him as well. The Tao in this scenario is ineffable, beyond descriptions, yet it is the foundation of everything. This aligns with the idea of an eternal, primordial source that lies beyond human comprehension, but is accessible through spiritual practice and alignment with nature. There is a core emphasis on nature in ancient Chinese philosophy and culture, and Taoism itself emphasizes the importance of returning to simplicity, humility, and natural harmony with nature as well. Ideas that resonate with the primordial tradition's call for attunement to the cosmic order. Scholar Angus C. Graham, in Disputes of the Tao, he highlights how Taoist philosophy, especially in the writings of Lao Tzu and I cannot pronounce this name, Shangji? I may have pronounced that wrong, but I will put the name in the description, offers a unique perspective on the eternal and cyclical nature as well of the universe, aligning with themes that can be seen as timeless in the context of perennial philosophy. As we have briefly explored these ancient civilizations, Sumer, Egypt, India, and China, we see a recurring pattern. We see the belief in an eternal, primordial truth that governs the universe and guides human existence. These civilizations, though separated by time and geography, all tapped into a shared universal wisdom. This is the essence of the primordial tradition, the recognition of a spiritual source that predates and underlines all religious systems, and this wisdom has been passed down through mythology, ritual, and sacred texts, serving as a common foundation for all spiritual traditions. The idea of cosmic balance, cyclical time, the eternal soul, and the divine source can be found across these ancient cultures, showing us that the quest for spiritual truth is as old as humanity itself. And also this concept of the timeless, what is always there but cannot be conceptualized or be brought down into human understanding. It's above us, it's cosmic. Just so many ideas and themes, but they've all been prominent in these ancient civilizations and their core beliefs. So how do perennial philosophy and the primordial tradition exactly connect? Essentially, perennial philosophy posits that all religious truths point back to a single eternal wisdom. This aligns perfectly with the idea of primordial tradition as that very source of wisdom that is essentially the source that we can conceptualize as humans and refer and date back to in our oldest noted, recorded part of our human history. And it's like seeing the same light shining through the different windows of the world's religions, that highest common factor. And a helpful way to think about this is the distinction between exoteric and esoteric teachings and knowledge. Exoteric refers to the outward rituals and practices of religions, things that we can see, like going to church, physically praying, etc. Whereas esoteric, on the other hand, is the inward mystical experience, the hidden truths that go beyond the surface. It's more internal, what we choose to practice as a person, who we choose to be. And so the primordial tradition is often seen as this esoteric knowledge, while perennial philosophy shows how this esoteric truth shines through the exoteric forms of the different religions. And this is very important to understand, because a lot of times when expressing perennial philosophy and showing that there are similarities, people often jump to the exoteric natures of these religions, like Muslims praying 5 times a day and Catholics praying 7 times a day, or a different way, etc. Just an example, and in different buildings and different traditions. But this is why the definition and the distinction between exoteric and esoteric is incredibly important, because they are often different paths to hopefully and essentially the same spiritual wisdom. Now, why do these concepts matter today? Especially with the word tradition, it makes people think it's old and outdated. But in our modern world, many people feel disconnected, fragmented, and caught up in materialism. And it is a personal belief that I share too. Some even say we're experiencing a spiritual crisis. So the ideas of the primordial tradition and perennial philosophy offers a way to reconnect with the universal truths that underlie human experience. They remind us that at our core, we're all seeking the same thing: meaning, connection, and a sense of unity with something greater than ourselves, a higher power, a higher being, God. And these concepts also play a crucial role in our interfaith dialogue, with religious conflicts on the rise, that had been on the rise and are currently rising. Focusing on the shared truths rather than the differences between religions can help foster peace and understanding, knowing that we are all part of God's creation and we are essentially one with God. Throughout history, many thinkers have explored these ideas in a much more greater depth than I have in this lecture. Frithjof Schuon and René Guénon are two of the most significant figures in this field, as mentioned in my previous video of Introduction to Traditional Perennialism. I've also done a lecture on the background of René Guénon and his work and impact. And they have both written extensively about the primordial tradition and its relevance to modernity, which is a very common theme in traditional perennialism and the study of traditionalism itself. Sayyid Hussein Nasr, a contemporary philosopher, blends perennial philosophy with Islamic thought, and of course Aldous Huxley introduced many to perennial philosophy with his book The Perennial Philosophy, in which I had done an extensive comprehensive book review on my channel, and I'll put the link in for that too. So what is the path forward? Whether you're religious, spiritual, or just simply curious, recognizing the universal truths at the heart of all religions can deepen your understanding of both yourself and others. You can start by reflecting on sacred texts from different traditions, meditating on these shared truths, or even engaging in interfaith conversations like this channel and being part of this community, bringing together different knowledge, experiences, opinions, and know that no one is judging them but yourself truly, and to just have an open mind and an open heart. After all, the search for truth is a journey that unites us all. And so I hope this video has given you a bit more of a clearer insight into the primordial tradition within perennial philosophy. And with that, I'd like to end this video with my disclaimer that I am by no means claiming that I am knowledgeable in everything, except that I am in the humble pursuit of wisdom. Thank you for watching.